Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about one of the squad members, one of the worst Democratic representatives in Congress today, none other than Ilhan Omar. IO, as we sometimes call her, is always full of cringe. She's very cringe. She's hard to listen to. She regurgitates some of the worst Democratic talking points, always pushing leftism, always pushing far leftism like socialism, Bernie Sanders style, talking about BLM, Marxism, pro-alphabet stuff, like you name it, and she's on board. She's basically a shill too. She's very, very much a sellout and also a very bad person. Like she has a very bad track record of being terrible, of doing awful things. And right from the start, I mean, she's also a bad representative of an American immigrant. Like she came from another country in Africa and then she moved to America at a young age. And now all she does is crap on our country. She says we're terrible. She says we're racist. She attacks us and acts like she's better than everyone else when she's really not. I mean, she has a troubled life. She's had issues. She had to leave a very bad place and come to America. She might be embarrassed about that. She's also had multiple marriages fall apart. She's been married and divorced multiple times. In fact, her new husband is someone she's been accused of embezzling money with. That's right. She has some terrible, terrible financial dealings where she donated money to her now husband's company. They were dating while they were both married to other people, and they were cheating on their spouses and then also sending money to each other. And now they're married. Now they're trying to cover it up. But it's a really bad backstory. Like this chick is bad news. And that's why we've gotten to today's story. These are all just the background prefaces that have led to what's happening now. Now, Omar is up for a re-election. There's a primary opponent that's challenging her. And in fact, what's very, very telling is her hometown newspaper has endorsed her opponent. That's right. Ilhan Omar is not being supported by her own hometown because she's just that awful. And we're going to talk about why. We're going to go over the details, read into the story and the support and the endorsement and all that soon. But first, let's take a moment to check out our sponsor. Do you think you're ready for whatever the future brings? Every day, the news headlines do get worse. There's civil unrest out there. There's a second wave of this terrible virus. There's been an economic collapse and massive suffering too. Not to mention what Mother Nature could do as well. Hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, wildfires, they're all out there and they're all problems we need to worry about in order to protect us, our families, and our friends. So the question I now ask is, are you guys prepared? Do you have enough food and do you have long-term storage food in case of an emergency? If not, I highly suggest you check out our link, preparewithnobs.com. So make sure you don't pass this up because these offers won't last long. Supplies are going quick, so make sure you stock up at Prepare with NoBS today. Thanks for your time. I hope you guys enjoy this new product. And now back to the show. Great. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk more about Ilhan. This is the first tweet I saw about the story. It says, Representative Ilhan Omar, hometown newspaper, has endorsed her primary opponent, Antone Melton Moe, in the upcoming primary. So right now, I'm just going to say this. I mean, I'm not sure I'm going to support this guy either, but I would be happy to see her out of office. So I'm going to support anyone who goes against her, even though this is probably just as bad a Democrat. I'm not sure. He could be worse. He could be better, but he's certainly... Yeah, he's better, actually. I know he's better. Like, anyone's better than Ilhan Omar. Like, she is very, very toxic, very negative, and just a bad influence on everything. She doesn't deserve to be in any position of power. She doesn't deserve to be working at a Wendy's drive-thru. She doesn't have any right to do anything cool in America because she hates us. She bashes us. She acts like we're the worst. She calls everyone racist. Like, I don't want to support anyone like that at all. So with that said, let's read into the articles and the stories and see more about the details. So this is the first one I want to go over. This is from Newsweek. It says, Ilhan Omar's city paper endorses her challenger, rebukes her Israel remarks and campaign finance issues. So we already talked about the campaign finance a little bit. That was the issue with her embezzling money with her now new husband while they were married to other people, blah, blah, blah. And then the new thing is also she's anti-Israel like a lot of the Democrats are. They're not big fans of Israel. This isn't especially surprising for someone like Ilhan Omar. She's, of course, a member of an opposing religion that has hated Israel for many years and done very violent things against them. So this isn't a surprise, and I would say it's a good sign to see that her local paper is going against her because she deserves all the people against her that she can get. The editorial board of Minnesota's largest newspaper announced this week it would endorse Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's challenger, citing Omar's past remarks on Israel and her campaign finance issues as part of the reasoning. These are the kinds of ethical distractions that Minnesota's 5th District could do without, the board asserted, choosing to instead recommend that other Democratic farmer labor candidate Anton Melton Moe for the district seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. The Star Tribune's editorial board, which operates independently of its newsroom, announced the endorsement of Melton Moe just 6 days ahead of the state's primary election, deciding the candidates who will ultimately represent the DFL and Republican parties in November's general election. So this is the preface to the election coming up in November. As you all know, we're having a presidential election in November, but also a number of other seats and politicians are up for re-election. It's not just the president. This is a cycle here in America. It's kind of like a 2-year cycle where every 2 years we have elections for certain offices, and every 4 years is when the big presidential one is. But it's not the only election. And that's what's going on in our country right now. That's why you're seeing a lot of politics going on this year. If you don't know, even if you're in America, you might not be privy to everything that's going on. But remember, there's an election in November, and basically everything has to do with these elections. Like, it's a very political time, which can be exciting. It can be interesting, especially if you're a politics guy like me, if you're a news junkie and you're interested in what's going on. But it's also very, very troubling. Like, it brings out the worst in people. It brings out some really, really crazy people. But that could also be fun too. That's why we get to have these laughs. We get to joke around and poke fun at people like Omar, who have been caught doing terrible things, who's getting embarrassed by her hometown. And as you'll see soon, she's also embarrassed herself quite a bit. The 5th District, which includes Minneapolis, will see incumbent Omar face off against political newcomer Melton Moe for the DFL nomination. The Star Tribune favors Melton Moe, a mediation lawyer and former fellow with the Congressional Black Caucus, for his strong progressive values that align well with the district, as well as consensus-building skills honed as a professional mediator. Newsweek contacted Melton Moe campaign for comment, but did not hear back in time for the publication. So the problem here is, I'm going to go ahead and say it, the guy has a very small chance. I don't think he's going to win. It's the same kind of thing with AOC's reelection that happened a few months back. She had a primary and she re-won because these guys just have so much name recognition. You have no idea how much and how important that is. Like, just the name recognition. It doesn't even matter if you're good or bad. If they remember you, if they saw you on TV, it's just more likely you're going to win. It's going to be a tough road for this guy to climb. So I'm not actually very hopeful he'll win. I mean, God bless him for trying. I really hope that people will try to oust these people as much as possible. And one day something could happen soon and it could go through. But I doubt it. I'm not trying to be negative, but it's just the truth. It's just, this is more of a story about the newspaper not endorsing her, showing a little dissent in her base, in her area. But I think still she's going to win. If she won her last election, she's going to be in an even better position to win it now. So it's going to be tough, but we can hope and we can try, but that's just the way it is. After conducting interviews with the two candidates, the Star Tribune wrote that Omar wants to lead a movement while Melton Moe seeks to serve the 5th District. As an example of their differences in policies, the board asserted that Omar wants to defund and even dismantle the police, whereas Melton hopes to reform law enforcement. Yeah, that's a great point. And this is absolutely true. I think the Star Tribune sounds like they're pretty based because, Omar doesn't really care about local politics. She's not really trying to help local people in her district. She's actually trying to hurt them and push policies and bigger things. Like, she's more about the movement and the Democrats and the whole party and the country, just like AOC. Like, she's more focused on national politics and isn't really there for her own people that elected her. Now, will that make her lose? I mean, it should, but it's still very unlikely. And, it's just people don't see it this way. They just recognize the name and vote for it. But yeah, the Melton guy definitely seems like he's on the right track, trying to serve the 5th, trying to reform police instead of dismantling them. This ridiculous idea. Like, Omar just parrots all the liberal talking points and just goes along with, defund the police, Trump's racist, just the basics. Like, she's really got no depth to her. She's not nearly as smart as people might think. That brings us to the next story, and let's talk about this one again. This is from about a month ago now, but it's been ongoing. She's getting investigated and stuff's going on because, as this article says, Ilhan Omar has paid her new husband's consulting firm $800,000 filing show. Now, this is a lot of money, and a lot of this happened while they were married to other people. So, as we said before, she was in this adulterous relationship with one of her advisors. She's dating a coworker, which is something that's another thing that's like strange because it's just like they're always talking about workplace and not having to date people. Like, this is like a Me Too thing almost. She was like actually his superior in a lot of ways since he worked for her on their campaign. So she's like dating a subordinate, and it's just like something that a lot of Democrats would say is taboo now. Like, they're very much against like this workplace interloping. But as we always seen, it's do as I say, not as I do. So she's totally fine with doing it herself. And also in taking in all this money, as this article is about to say. Representative Omar has continued quietly funneling hundreds of thousands of dollars to her new husband's consulting firm, including $189,000 windfall in March, just weeks after they announced they had tied the knot, campaign data shows. The payments between the Minneapolis Democratic Congresswoman and Tim Minette prompted at least one ethics complaint in 2019 after the Post first revealed allegations made by Minette's then wife in her divorce filing that Omar was having an affair with the member of her political consulting team who was at the time married to another woman. Omar was married to her second husband at the time. So she's on husband number 3, and yeah, she just hops from one to the other, and it's just very, very shady behavior, adultery, cheating on husbands, like breaking up families. Like, this guy had a wife and kids, and then now she's also sending large amounts of money to him. Like, for what? I know there's like payments, but this isn't like a strict kind of like, oh, this is a product you're buying. Like, she's not paying for goods or even services. I think they might claim it's services, but when you're like a consultant, like you charge by the hour, like it's just something you can duff up and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get paid for consulting her for the month of May. That means I got to get $189,000. And it's like, oh, well, you're also married to her. So that money's going to you. And now it's gone to both of you. And she's basically just funneling out money from her campaign. This is a campaign fund. She draws in money through the squad, through her Democratic connections and her events, and she's basically like cheating it. She's like, okay, donate to my campaign. She's acting like it's going to get her reelected, but really it's going into her pocket. And that's just the worst thing you want to see. That's just the most shady, terrible corruption ever. And it goes to show, like, Democrats, they're in this for the money. They're not in this to help people or to be righteous or to save the world. Like they claim they're trying to save everyone and put all of this healthcare out there or whatever it may be. Oh, we're going to save the environment. But really, they're just about saying that and like pretending they care and then collecting money and then taking it for themselves. I mean, that's what Black Lives Matter does too. Black Lives Matter is drawing in like hundreds of millions of dollars. And where's that money go? I haven't seen anything that they've done or built or helped. Have they even helped one person? Have they sent a black kid to college? Have they built a school in a black neighborhood? Like, no, they haven't done anything to help black people. All that money is going back into the Democratic Party. It's actually a funnel to the Democrats. And we've seen those receipts on Shared Blue and other websites like that. And now we're seeing the receipts on Ilhan Omar specifically. She's a shady figure who needs to be stopped. So I really hope her new opponent does take her down. I doubt it, but we can only hope. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Also hit that like button if you want to get this thing shared. And until next time, have a great day.